When it comes to well-known LEGO minifigures, you'd be forgiven if you've never heard the name Yorick before.
Who?
Well, for us older fans, we may have come across this name and reference at some point in our lives, although that's not a guarantee, and our younger audience may not even be familiar with the name at all. But regardless of what camp you fall into, it's likely that you don't even know what the name has to do with LEGO in the first place. And that's because the name Yorick is relatively new to the LEGO scene, although as we will see, he has likely been around in many of your favorite LEGO sets. You see, Yorick is a skeleton. Canonically, Yorick didn't make his official debut until he was featured in a 2020 mobile game called LEGO Legacy Heroes Unboxed, a turn-based RPG featuring minifigures and sets from LEGO's history. Now, if Yorick were a completely new character made just for this game, we wouldn't have much more to talk about. However, as we inspect his description within the game, we start to see that there's more to him than meets the empty eye socket. But before we dive into that, you may be interested in the name Yorick itself and where it came from. If we have any Shakespeare fans in the audience, you might recognize the name from the play Hamlet. In the play, Yorick is a dead court jester whose skull is exhumed in the gravedigger scene in Act 5, Scene 1. Very dark, yes, but this is Shakespeare we're talking about, so it's par the course. So apparently Yorick had a role in Hamlet's upbringing, since the sight of Yorick's skull prompts Prince Hamlet to reminisce, leading to the famous words that we hear a lot in pop culture. Alas, poor Yorick. If you want a really obscure reference to the name Yorick, look no further than one of the earliest Muppets created by Jim Henson. Other than being a purple skull, there isn't really much more connection to the name than that, but he is a bit creepy, so they have that in common as well.
Have you ever been hungry in the middle of the night?
So the fact that Yorick in Hamlet is a skull and LEGO Yorick is a skeleton makes for an obvious connection. But the game description we mentioned earlier takes it a bit further. Keeping the Shakespearean theme of his namesake, we learn that our Yorick was classically trained at the Gouliard School of the Arts. He is a master thespian and the perfect character actor. Here we see more of that Shakespeare connection. Now, as we dive deeper into the bio, we learn a few interesting facts that tell us that we may have had Yorick with us during our childhood. Let's break it down. In the game, Yorick is classified as being a part of both the pirate and castle themes. We also learned that he debuted in 1995 and was redesigned in 2013. The game goes as far as to say that originally Yorick used ball and socket joints for his limbs. This basically means we can retroactively insert Yorick into the first castle and pirate sets, which featured a skeleton in 1995. Among those being sets number 6090 Royal Knight's Castle, 6078 Royal Drawbridge, 6036 Skeleton Surprise, and 6254 Rocky Reef. Now, does this mean that Yorick can be considered to be a part of every set that featured or features a skeleton? Not necessarily. We don't know if all sets containing a skeleton can be said to have Yorick, especially in sets where we can see multiple instances of skeletons. Also, Yorick uses the generic skeleton design, and as we may know, not all skeletons in the LEGO universe use the same look. But based on the information, Yorick might just be limited to pirate and castle sets, which also means that modern sets like the Lion Knight's Castle and the Creator 3-in-1 Castle and Pirate Ship and other recent sets within the theme may very well feature Yorick, which is pretty cool to think about. All in all, we may not know much more about our calcium fortified friend, but we do know how skeletons like to greet each other by saying bonjour.
Ingrate.
I'm Unbearded Bro. Like this video if you found it interesting, and I will see you in the next one.